Hi, my name is Shani. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So I'm very excited that you are here watching this video. I'm very excited to share this content. So I am a licensed social worker / therapist in New York City. So for today's video, I am going to be giving you 4 self-care tips. So I'm really excited to share these 4 tips with you guys. They're really helpful in helping people remain grounded and to remain in the present and to really just take care of things like anxiety, depression, just like distraction, any type of emotional experience that feels like it's getting a little bit overwhelming. I'm hoping that these tips can help. And even if you're not experiencing anything sort of like out of the ordinary, these are really good maintenance tips as well. And so self-care is something that we should be doing all of the time. We should be incorporating into our day for those tough days, but also for those days where we're feeling good and we can get something new out of our self-care. So I'm going to be talking about 4 different tips. The first one is going to be to get active. Staying active is extremely important because the mind-body connection is real. So there's plenty of research that shows that a lot of people carry their stress or carry their anxiety or even depression in their body. Sometimes we feel really tense. We might be like scrunching up our muscles in a way that we don't even notice that we're doing it. So get active. And that could be anything under the sun. Of course, during quarantine, gyms are closed, but thankfully we can all be outside. You can take a jog, you can take a walk, you can go on a hike, get some time with nature. That's always really great. But if you're like me and don't really love nature, I have been doing a lot of my workouts at home and I just get started. It's really important to get your body moving, to release some of those tensions that you might be feeling if you're feeling stressed or anxious or anything like that. But also working out releases endorphins. I don't know if you've ever heard of like runner's high, but that sounds like a myth, but it is true that working out and staying active and getting your heart rate up does increase endorphins, which is a happy hormone that makes us feel good physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's much easier to just like cozy up in bed, especially when things are hard. So if you can get up, if you can move, you've already done so much for that day and you should be proud. The next tip we're going to do is one of my favorites. So tip 2 is something that you can do anywhere, anytime. It could be for a long time, it could be for a short period of time, just whatever you need in this moment. This is something that you can easily pull out of your toolbox, which is what I like to call my self-care tips, a toolbox. It's something that you can just pull out whenever you need it. And that tip is meditation, specifically mindfulness meditation. So this is my favorite. It's something that I use every day, either in really small moments or really like long specific moments where I like take time out to meditate, or I might have a moment where I just like need to pause for a second and check in with my body. So when you think about meditation, you might think of Tibetan sound bowls and saying Om with your legs crossed and things like that, and that is all wonderful and great, but meditation does not have to be all of those things. It could be really simple, and that's why I love mindfulness meditation so much, because of the versatility. So I'm hoping to definitely add more meditation and mindfulness exercises on my YouTube channel, so subscribe for more. But for today, we are going to just talk about the benefits of mindfulness meditation. So in our day-to-day life, we're either focused on the future, thinking about what's for dinner, what am I doing tomorrow, what's happening this weekend, and thinking about the future. Sometimes we're also thinking about the past, so you're wondering like, oh, I shouldn't have said that in that conversation, or like, I can't believe that this thing happened, or I'm really nervous that the outcome of this choice that I made in the past is not going to work out for my future. So there's also this kind of thing where we are worried about our past and how it's going to impact our future. And so our minds are just bouncing back and forth between past, future, past, future. But when do we ever have time to just focus on the present moment? So mindfulness meditation really just means to bring an awareness to where you are in this present moment, because the present is all that we really have. We can't change the past, we can't control the future. The present is the only thing that we can really cherish. So what I'm doing here is just a really brief breathing exercise. So when you are doing a meditation, a mindfulness breathing exercise, the main focus is to focus on your breath, paying attention to something that we are doing constantly every day. We're always breathing. Just taking a moment to pay attention to what is happening in your body as you're breathing can be so comforting. Also, with breathing, there's a very specific way that you can breathe that is meant to help slow down our heart rate. That's called diaphragmatic breathing. I really hope I'm saying that right. So that just means that your diaphragm is like right in this belly region, like under your rib cage. And in order to breathe diaphragmatically, still hope I'm saying that right, we have to channel the air into our stomachs as opposed to our chest. So as you can see here, I have one hand on my chest, one hand on my stomach, and I'm trying to make sure that my breath is filling my stomach and that is expanding over my chest. So I'm hoping that my chest can stay as still as possible, but my stomach expands as I breathe in. And that is diaphragmatic breathing, and that is meant to specifically slow down your heart rate. I also definitely feel like just adding some movement to the meditation honestly keeps me awake. Sometimes mindfulness meditation can be so relaxing that I doze off just for a second, but to me that's a sign that I am as relaxed as possible if I can just fall asleep. So I like to add some stretching to definitely keep the meditation more energized and keep my body moving, and it feels really good to also get a stretch in, so that's really exciting. The third self-care tip that I have is what I like to call self-talk. So this is also one of my favorites. I might say that about all of them, but this is definitely one of my favorites because it is also something that you can do whenever. No one knows that you're doing it because it's all sort of like in your head, and it's really a way for us to bring some positivity into our daily lives. So throughout the day, we have millions of thoughts, so many thoughts that come and go, and for a lot of people, sometimes we only attune or we only pay attention to those negative thoughts. So the kind of self-talk that I think is really helpful for self-care in general is the kind of self-talk where we notice that we are having a negative thought and then challenge that thought. So instead of just 100% believing in the negative thoughts that we have, just taking a moment to notice it and then think of maybe an alternative to that negative thought so that we can give our brains a little bit of variety. We don't always have to pay attention to the negative. Of course, there are times where the negative thoughts come up and we do pay attention to them, and that is okay. It is natural, it happens. But what is really helpful for our just like well-being as a whole is to notice how much or how little we are having negative thoughts versus positive thoughts. So the last self-care tip is journaling. So I know that journaling is not for everyone. Writing things down or even just like having a journal and taking the time to do that is not so natural for a lot of people. But journaling is one of my favorite self-care tips because it is a way to remove all of the things going on in my head and just putting them on a piece of paper. And just giving myself that space between my head and the paper can just, for me, take a weight off of my shoulders. It makes me feel like, okay, this is more manageable once I can see it on paper instead of it all just being like jumbled up in my head. So if you're new to journaling, it might be helpful to have one of those journals that has like the pre-written sort of things that you can write in it, like journal prompts and like gratitude things and questions that you can answer. And so that's a really good way to start when you have no idea what to put on the paper. Just staring at a blank page feels a little daunting. So I would definitely recommend those kinds of journals. But if you want to just start from scratch, just even getting any kind of piece of paper, you can also just put a note in your phone and just type on your phone about how you're feeling, what's been going on for you, and anything that comes to mind when you think about needing to journal. So I like to add journaling to my day. I do somewhat of a check-in with myself where I ask myself a few questions like, how am I feeling today? And I might write down that I'm feeling calm, or I'm feeling a little bit anxious or sleepy. I also try to set an intention for the day. So what are my goals? And just having that moment with yourself of just checking in and reflecting on what is going on inside can be really helpful for us to just manage how we're feeling. So those are my 4 favorite self-care tips to help with just anything, mental health stuff, daily maintenance, anything going on. Those are my 4 favorite tips. I certainly like to incorporate them into my day just to manage how I've been feeling. 2020 has just been a challenge for many reasons, and so I'm really glad to be able to have these things to add into my life. I'm really hoping that these tips can be helpful for you. And if you enjoyed this video and you're hoping to just get more tips about self-care, mental wellness, lifestyle, anything like that, please subscribe and like this video. Again, I will be posting things weekly. I'm really hoping that you enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching.